Many glories, civilizations, and technologies have been lost throughout history. Natural disasters and wars have hastened their demise. As time passes, the technologies they developed may have been lost. However, there are traces that illustrate their existence. Today we will explore the traces of past civilizations that have been lost. Angkor Wat. The original name of the temple was Phra Phiznu Loka or Parama Phiznu Loka, meaning the sacred dwelling of Vishnu. The term might also mean the king who has gone to the supreme world of Vishnu, referring to Suryavarman II posthumously and intended to venerate his glory and memory. In the 16th century, Portuguese traders and missionaries discovered a great stone city hidden in the jungles of northern Cambodia, abandoned for over 150 years. The city contains several temples, including Angkor Wat, which dominates the site. One of the first recorded visitors was Antonio de Madalena, a Capuchin friar who explored the ruins in 1586. 3 years later, he reported his observations to Diogo do Couto, the official historian of the Portuguese East Indies. Do Couto documented the friar's account in his historical writings as follows. Half a league from this city is a temple called Angkor. This temple is of such extraordinary construction that it is impossible to describe it with a pen, especially since there is no other building like it in the world. The temple has towers and decorations and all the subtleties that human genius can imagine. There are many smaller towers in the same style, made of the same stone, gilded with gold. The temple is surrounded by a moat, and access is by a single bridge, guarded by 2 stone tigers so majestic and fearsome that they strike fear into the hearts of the visitor. In 1860, the temple was effectively rediscovered by the French naturalist and explorer Henri Mouhat with the assistance of the French missionary, Father Charles-Émile Boulevos. Mouhat popularized the site in the West by publishing a travelogue. One of these temples, rivaling that of Solomon, would probably occupy a place of honor beside our most beautiful buildings. It is grander than anything bequeathed to us by Greece or Rome, and presents a sad contrast to the state of barbarism in which the nation is now plunged. Angkor Wat, capital of temples, is a Hindu-Buddhist temple complex in Cambodia. It is located on an area of 1,626,000 square meters in the ancient Khmer capital of Angkor. The temple was originally built in 1150 AD as a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu. The temple was then gradually converted into a Buddhist temple towards the end of the century. Angkor Wat was built on the orders of the Khmer king Suryavarman II in the early 12th century at Yaśodharapura, or present day is Angkor, the capital of the Khmer Empire, as his state temple and eventual mausoleum. Angkor Wat combines two basic plans of Khmer temple architecture, the mountain temple and the later gallery temple. The temple is admired for its grandeur and architectural harmony, extensive bas-reliefs and devas adorning its walls. The temple was designed to represent Meru Mount, the home of the gods in Hindu mythology, and is surrounded by a moat more than 5 kilometers long. Enclosed within a 3.6 kilometers long outer wall are 3 rectangular galleries, each towering above the others. In the center of the temple stand 5 towers. In 1177, about 27 years after the death of Suryavarman II, Angkor was sacked by the Cham, the traditional enemies of the Khmer. Thereafter, the Khmer Empire was restored by Yaśodharapura VII, who established a new capital at Angkor Thom and Bayon as the state temple, located to the north. The temple was dedicated to Buddhism because the king's wife Indra was a devout Mahayana Buddhist who encouraged her to convert. Therefore, Angkor Wat was gradually transformed into a Buddhist site with many Hindu statues being replaced by Buddhist art. After its transformation from a Hindu to a Buddhist center towards the end of the 12th century, Angkor Wat continues to be a center of Buddhism till to present day. Angkor Wat is unusual among the Angkor temples in that although it was largely neglected after the 16th century, it was never completely abandoned. Angkor Wat is a unique combination of a temple mountain, the standard design for imperial state temples, and a later concentric gallery plan, much of which was originally derived from Hindu beliefs. The construction of Angkor Wat suggests that there was a celestial significance to certain features of the temple. This is seen in the east-west orientation of the temple and the sight lines from the inner terraces of the temple that show certain towers to be in the exact location of the solstice at sunrise. The main tower of Angkor Wat is aligned with the morning sun on the spring equinox. The temple is a representation of Mount Meru, the home of the gods according to Hindu mythology. The 5 central towers represent the 5 peaks of the mountain, and the walls and moat represent the surrounding mountains and ocean. The temple stands on a raised terrace within a walled enclosure. It is made up of 3 rectangular galleries rising to a central tower, each one a stage higher than the last. The 2 inner galleries each have 4 large towers at their consecutive corners, that is, northwest, northeast, southeast, and southwest, surrounding a 5th taller tower. This pattern is sometimes called the quincunx and is believed to represent the Meru Mountains. Since the temple faces west, its features are arranged towards the east, leaving more space to be filled in each enclosure and gallery on the west side. For the same reason, the steps facing west are shallower than those on the other sides. Each gallery has a gate with an outer gallery measuring 187 meters x 215 meters, with pavilions at the corners. The galleries open onto the exterior of the temple, with columned half-galleries extending and supporting the building. Connecting the outer gallery to the second enclosure on the west side is a cruciform monastery called Priya Pon, meaning Thousand Buddhas Gallery. Buddha images have been left at the monastery by pilgrims over the centuries, although most have now been removed. The area has many inscriptions relating to the good deeds of pilgrims. The 4 small courtyards marked by the monastery may have originally been filled with water. To the north and south of the monastery are the libraries. Outside, the second gallery and the inner gallery are connected to the 2 flanking libraries by another cruciform terrace, also a later addition. From the second level upwards, images of devatas abound on the walls, singly or in groups of up to 4. The second level chamber measures 100 meters by 115 meters and was probably originally filled with water to represent the ocean around Mount Meru. Three sets of steps on each side lead to the corner towers and the gopura of the inner gallery. The steepness of the steps may represent the difficulty of ascending to the kingdom of the gods. This inner gallery, called the Bakken, is a 60-meter square with axial galleries connecting each gopura to the central shrine and the subsidiary shrines located below the corner towers. The roof of the gallery is decorated with a snake body motif ending in a lion or Garuda head. Carved lintels and pediments adorn the entrances to the galleries and shrines. The tower above the central shrine rises 43 meters to a height of 65 meters above the ground. Unlike the previous temple mountains, the central tower is taller than the 4 surrounding towers. The temple complex is surrounded by an outer wall, measuring 1,024 meters x 802 meters and 4.5 meters high. The temple is surrounded by a 30-meter-long open ground and a moat 190 meters wide and more than 5 kilometers in circumference. The moat extends 1.5 kilometers from east to west and 1.3 kilometers from north to south. Access to the temple is via an earthen embankment to the east and a sandstone footpath to the west. There are gates at each cardinal point, with the western gate being the largest and consisting of 3 partly ruined towers. Beneath the southern tower is a statue known as Ta Reach, which was originally an 8-armed Vishnu statue that may have occupied the temple's main shrine. Galleries run between the towers and 2 further entrances on either side of the gate, often referred to as the elephant gates, as they are large enough to accommodate the animals. These galleries have square pillars on the outer western side and a closed inner wall on the eastern side. The ceilings between the pillars are decorated with lotus rosettes. The western side of the wall is decorated with dancing figures, and the eastern side of the wall contains windows with balustrades, decorated with dancing figures, animals, and deities. The outer wall covers an area of 82 hectares, which apart from the temple itself was originally occupied by people from the city and the royal palace to the north of the temple. A 350 meters, 1,150 feet, causeway connects the western gopura to the temple itself, with a dragon-shaped balustrade and 6 sets of steps leading outwards on either side. Each side also has a library with an entrance at each cardinal point, in front of the 3rd set of steps from the entrance, and a pool between the library and the temple itself. The pools are a later addition to the design, as is the cruciform terrace guarded by lions that connects the causeway to the central building. Integrated into the architecture of the building, one of the reasons for its fame is Angkor Wat's extensive decoration, much of it in relief. The inner walls of the outer gallery have a series of large-scale scenes depicting mainly episodes from the Hindu epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. The western gallery shows the Battle of Lanka from the Ramayana. In which Rama defeats Ravana, and the Kurukshetra war from the Mahabharata, depicting the joint annihilation of the Kaurava and Pandava armies. In the southern gallery, the only historical scene, the procession of Suryavarman II is depicted along with the 32 hells and 37 heavens of Hinduism. The Eastern Gallery contains one of the most famous scenes, the churning of the Sea of Milk, which shows 92 Asuras and 88 devas using the serpent Vasaki to churn the Sea of Milk under the direction of Vishnu. The 91 Asuras and explains that the asymmetrical numbers represent the number of days from the winter solstice to the spring equinox, and from the equinox to the summer solstice. This is followed by a relief showing Vishnu defeating the Asuras, which was a 16th century addition. The northern gallery shows Krishna's victory over Bana. The Angkor area was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1992. Considered by some experts to be the largest religious building in the world, it is considered one of the finest examples of Khmer architecture and a symbol of Cambodia, depicted as part of the Cambodian national flag.